For 2.5 years, residents of this quiet street in White Bear Lake, Minnesota, wondered what was going on behind this garage door. They only knew that Gerry Spiess was working on yet another project. Spiess had, in recent years, built a boat that he sailed down the Mississippi and on to South America. But the odd-looking craft taking shape this time was somehow very different. This was the beginnings of Yankee Girl, a 10-foot sailboat built more than 1,000 miles from the sea, but bound for a place in maritime history. A boat that would capture the imagination of the whole world and bring to her builder and master unexpected fame and attention. Gerry Spiess designed and built Yankee Girl to do one voyage, a journey that had never been attempted by anyone in such a small craft. This is the story of that voyage, a 54-day epic journey across the stormy North Atlantic Ocean from the east coast of North America to the southwest tip of England. Spiess made this attempt without fanfare, quietly, deliberately avoiding publicity. Fortunately, he kept the ship's log on a tape recorder, and we were there to record his triumphant arrival in England.
Get ahead!
Oh, right ahead.
Little blue?
Yes!
There it is.
Ahoy, the Yankee Girl!
I can see his head. I can see his head. There he is.
Oh, he's got a beard!
I'll give you another one later. Come on.
With this material and the help of his friends and family, we are able to recreate the story of Gerry Spiess and his adventures while crossing the Atlantic in a 10-foot boat in what turned out to be a very lonely
You've got a
voyage.
beard.
You swore he wouldn't have.
Well, I didn't think you would. I'll bet you he doesn't have it after he gets cleaned up.
A challenge like this becomes an obsessive kind of thing. I'd wake up at night, you know, you think about it in the daytime, but then occasionally wake up at night and say, geez, for some reason I feel I have to do this. And it's rather hard to explain that, but it actually happens that way. So I believe at the time that I actually decided was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when I woke up, and I went in and started drawing again the design, and then I said, all right, that's it. I've decided that I am going to do it, which is a very big commitment.
To do what? What exactly did you have in mind at that point?
To sail the smallest boat that I could sail across the North Atlantic.
Gerry Spiess,
And,
an unassuming
for me, that
39-year-old
meant
electronics instructor from White Bear Lake, Minnesota, had decided to attempt what no man had done before, to cross one of the world's most savage seas in a boat 10 feet long and 5.5 feet wide, so small that in the building it seemed at times impossible.
When I cut out the bulkheads, I laid it down on the garage floor and lay down on top of it to see if I could fit, because the boat was built to my dimensions, you know, the minimum. And I laid down on it and I couldn't fit. And Sally was there, I said, I think I made a mistake here. I just can't fit in this thing. And, but it actually, as it was built, it was, you know, you don't sit right out against the side of the boat, so there was actually room for me to get in there. But we both looked at that, at this little thing lying on the floor, and said, gee, that just isn't going to make it.
Spiess designed his boat to provide the absolute minimum space that a man could survive in for a journey expected to take at least 60 days. Everything to sustain life and to navigate across 3,500 miles of ocean had to be packed into a space not much larger than the average bathtub. Hot meals could be cooked on a stove that swung on gimbals. The inside of Yankee Girl is a triumph of organized housekeeping. What kind of man is this? A man whose attention to detail enabled him to cross the Atlantic alone and still have food and water for another 3 weeks.
Well, Jerry's been a very adventurous boy ever since the day he was born. He was always getting involved in things. And when he got into high school, he started mountain climbing. And when he finished high school, he wanted to fly an airplane, so he took lessons and got his license to fly. And then he went into the Air Force, where he wanted more excitement in flying, and he ended up in the missile program, and he ended up to be a Minuteman.
For Gerry, the attempt to cross the Atlantic in his 10-foot homemade sailboat was nothing more than another personal test. He says he just wanted to see if it could be done.
I've always looked at things as a challenge. If I see something like, if I look at the lake, I say, well, I wonder if I could swim across that lake. If I see a mountain, I think, oh, how long would it take me to climb that mountain?
So in May 1979, Yankee Girl was ready. Everything that could be tested had been checked, and glistening with fresh paint, the tiny craft was loaded onto a trailer and hauled to Virginia Beach. One of the few people that was there when Spiess slipped away from the East Coast was newspaper columnist Lawrence Madry. Madry's impressions of Spiess were that he was a very unlikely hero.
I tried several times to talk with him, and he didn't really want an interview. And then I finally got to him, and it was a curious thing. I noticed that he was very pale at the time. That is, he didn't have a tan. And when he finally consented to an interview, Jerry said, well, why don't we go over here in the shade, he said, avoiding the sun. And I thought to myself, my goodness, here is a man who is going to cross the Atlantic, and he's just afraid of the sun. You know? It didn't dawn on me until later, of course, that he planned to sail at night, principally. I was impressed with just the smallness of it from the distance. It looked like an eggshell with a white moth atop it or something. And it looked so fragile out there on that vast sea.
Early in the morning of June 1st, 1979, a little boat sailed away from Virginia Beach. The sloop Yankee Girl, Minnesota registration number 2910 CV, bound for Falmouth, England, Captain Gerry Spiess. Within 24 hours, the weather turned foul. Shrieking winds and lashing seas confined Gerry Spiess to his cramped cabin. For days, there was nothing he could do but pray that terrible conditions would ease. And then, on the 7th day, the clouds parted to reveal a rainbow. Spiess, talking into a tape recorder on board, wondered about this seemingly heaven-sent sign.
I do feel a lot closer to God out here by myself, and see the size of the relative size of myself and my boat compared to the ocean. And I know the other day I saw after that rain, a rainbow came out, and I thought, now, God is really a great guy. You know, who else would make a rainbow like that? And for what purpose? What can you do with a rainbow?
June 11. The loneliness is taking its toll. Feeling pretty sorry for himself, Spiess is lying on his bunk when suddenly he becomes aware of lights outside his 4-inch porthole. It's a ship, and what's more, they're monitoring their radio. After this first human contact for nearly 2 weeks, Gerry Spiess sobs with emotional relief.
All of a sudden, a ship went behind me quite close. So I jumped on the radio immediately. It was a Dutch ship from Rotterdam. And sure, they were on channel 16. Instead of like these other bums that don't monitor it. So this, Dutchman comes on, he says, "Are you the little boat?" A little sailboat? So I was able to talk to somebody and got my position, which was very favorable.
But Gerry Spiess's spirits were about to reach the low point of the trip. He'd been at sea for 16 days. The seas were mountainous and had an ugly habit of dumping themselves in the boat.
All day today, I've just been sitting in here. It's about 80 right now. It's been over 80 most of the day. Stuck with my head up forward so I'm not thrown around too badly. And commiserating about this terrible situation and this wind and how disgusted I am and disheartened. The only good thing about it is that at least I'm headed east. So I still have probably covered about 50 miles today. Well, in 24 hours. And the wind has been blowing now for over 24 hours. Well, the real strong wind didn't start till about midnight last night, I guess. But it hasn't shown any signs of letting up yet. I've been concerned about the boat, whether it can take this kind of punishment, because you wouldn't believe how hard. It's just like two people hit the transom with a sledgehammer. Anyhow, I'm pretty discouraged. I'll tell you one thing, I'll never go on another trip to sea again. It's just too much misery. The good times are so small, like 1 or 2 days so far out of 16. And it is sheer misery out here on a day like today. I've only eaten a couple little snacks all day. And there's very little ventilation in here because I have to keep her closed up.
But worse was to come. The waves got higher. They hovered up to 15 feet above the tiny Yankee girl, and the rain pelted down as Gerry described the events of June 19.
I got pooped by the most gigantic sea that I guess I've seen on the whole trip, and the son of a bitch happened to break right on the boat. It would have been bad even if the hatch had been closed. And when I saw it coming, I ducked down and slammed the hatch, but it was so big that it pushed the hatch right open again, knocked me all the way back against the bulkhead, and I broke the towel rack, paper towel rack, put quite a few gallons of water in the boat, saturated everything.
Gerry Spiess didn't know it then, but the worst was over. The weather steadily improved, and he finally conquered the devastating feeling of being alone. For the next 6 weeks, Gerry Spiess lived in fear of meeting bad weather again, but it wasn't to be. He was headed for a world record and an overwhelming reception in Falmouth. .30 a.m., July the 24th, 1979. Falmouth, Cornwall, England. Gerry Spiess and the 10-foot sailboat Yankee Girl have been at sea for nearly 2 months. Tension is mounting. Sally Spiess and Gerry's father Lewis, mother Jeanette, and a bunch of London newspaper reporters gather excitedly on the Custom House quay. Gerry has been sighted by a passing ship. He's reportedly within a day's sail of his destination. The Falmouth pilot boat Link is pressed into service to take the family out to the lone sailor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Don't forget to grab.
The handful of curious people waving goodbye will swell to thousands when the full impact of this little trip becomes known. Weather conditions couldn't be worse. Skies overcast, rain. The radar scans the waters of the English Channel, but it seems an impossible task to pick out a 10-foot wooden boat in these crowded waters. Pilot boat coxswain Derek Parsons makes frequent checks with the Coast Guard to find out where Gerry Spiess might be and what kind of visibility we might expect.
This boat to sail across the Atlantic. Can you give us a fix on it, please? Over.
Roger, it was 20 miles south-east of Land's End at 0217 GMT this morning. Over.
Roger that, Norman. Roger, thank you very much. What is the visibility there, please? Over.
The visibility off the Lizard at this time is about 100 to 200 yards. Over.
Roger, all copied. Over.
Sally looks worried. After 54 days, she's anxious to see her husband again, but it's a big ocean and his boat is so small.
This is the position we've got for 3:15 this morning. 6 o'clock. We're putting him up to separation zone.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. He'd probably come up wide. You see, if it's foggy off there, he would have been virtually stopped, so he could still be there.
There's nothing else we can do but head for Gerry's last known position, somewhere off the Lizard Rocks near Land's End. As the miles separating them grow less, Sally Spiess speaks of her adventurous husband and explains that he isn't expecting a big reception because the project isn't really an attempt to be the first or best at anything.
It seems so long, and yet it's a very important day for me. Seeing him is really more important to me than his stepping on land. I'm kind of apprehensive. I want to verify what condition he's in. He said everything's gone very, very well. I want to see that for myself.
What do you think about all the reaction by the media and the British press in particular?
I have learned to value my privacy, which I will be glad to regain. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know if he's prepared for the reception that awaits him. This was basically a test for himself, and it's all very nice and well that someone else shares his enthusiasm for what he's done, but it had to be for himself that he did it.
What are your plans after Gerry gets ashore, today or tomorrow?
The first order of business will be a good wash-up, a shower or a bath, a meal, and then rest if he needs it. I don't know how he spent the night. If he sailed all night, he probably will need a rest, and then a reunion with all of us. We're all anxious to hear how everything went. The messages we've received all along have been rather brief, and I'd like to have a little fuller explanation of what he's been up to.
You're going to say, where the hell have you been for the last 2 months?
I know where he's been, I don't know what he's been doing.
The needle is Gerry Spiess, and the haystack is the English Channel. In a show of superb seamanship, the crew of the pilot boat Link locates the lone sailor as soon as we enter the search area.
Dead ahead. Dead ahead.
Oh, right ahead.
Dead
Little
ahead.
blue?
Yes!
There it is.
Ahoy, the Yankee girl!
I can see his head. I can see his head. There he is.
Oh, he's got a beard!
I'll give you another one later.
Come on. Could you give her a hug and turn your faces so slightly more?
Gerry Spiess from White Bear Lake, Minnesota has made it. And the first demands of the London press are met.
They asked me what I'd say. You've got a beard.
Yeah.
You swore he wouldn't have.
Well, I didn't think you would. I'll bet you he doesn't have it after it gets cleaned up.
Now's the time for the questions and answers that'll be flashed around the world as the news spreads about Spiess's safe arrival.
Make it at that point? But I'll tell you, the boat is so fantastic, I can't believe it. Yeah, isn't that great?
Was the design a success, Gerry?
Absolutely fantastic. Behind my dreams. Yeah. The boat went so well, I only steered about a week and a half out of the whole trip.
No wonder you made such good progress.
Yep, and I made 60 miles a day.
Did you expect a big reception?
No, not really. I didn't know because I haven't talked to any ships except that one day, you know.
You've only spoken to one ship in the...
Oh, no, I spoke to several, but I didn't get to talk to any for quite a while there. And I was really concerned. I didn't even know if anybody would be here.
There are a lot of people here Saturday.
Did you hear from that one boat? The Potomac? Yeah. But that's the only one I saw. I mean, for over 2 weeks.
I know, I thought maybe we hadn't gotten word.
No, they just, a lot of them don't have their radios on Channel 16, and I can't talk to them. And,
how far off the Azores were you when
Oh, I was way back at that time.
Way back?
I was
What would you
way back.
were at that time? Any idea?
Well, they were, the waves, I think, were around, 14 feet.
That's when you went overboard, Gerry?
Yep, right after that.
What were you doing when you went over?
Was this at night?
No, it was in the morning.
And about where did you do today?
I was out about 400 miles, I guess.
Gerry, you're about 11 miles.
11 miles, yeah. Well, see, that'll just take me about, 3
hours.
Yeah.
The coxswain would like to shake your hand.
He got it.
Gerry, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
I'm glad
you.
we take you up. It's a hat trick for me because we rendezvoused with Che Blythe
Oh, really?
and Knox Johnson before that.
Shove off a little. Let her go out a little
Okay,
bit.
let's get her home nice and safe.
Gerry Spiess still has a few miles to go, but the lonely part of this
Watch this
voyage
motor
is
now.
definitely over.
Gerry, you represent the spirit of adventure, which we all cherish in our hearts, but regretfully, for most of us, it's just a dream. Thank goodness, in this world of protests and cupidity, there is still real-life heroes to stir our emotions and inspire us.
On Tuesday, the 7th of August, 1979, the sloop Yankee Girl returned to the Twin Cities. A few hours later, so did her skipper, Gerry Spiess.
Make me happier, I'll tell you that. We had a wonderful time in England and in New York, but nothing like being back in Minnesota again. Yes, that looks nice. Hi.
A few days later, and Gerry is officially home in White Bear Lake.
Thank you.
They say heroes aren't supposed to cry. Well, I cry very easily. And when they played Yankee Doodle, I started crying too. We don't realize how lucky we are to be in the United States. Doing something like this brings it home to you, and coming back to a country like this completely confirms it. And if anything comes out of this, I hope that we'll all love the United States that much more. Thank you very much.
Gerry Spiess of White Bear Lake is on dry land tonight for the first time in 54 days. Today, he completed his historic journey across the Atlantic Ocean in a 10-foot sailboat. But he arrived in Falmouth, England under power today. The wind wasn't blowing very hard. During a phone call to Eyewitness News at 6 tonight, Spiess said the trip went exceptionally well. He said he lost a little weight, but he still had food and water to last another 30 days. And he admitted he was a little tired. 10,000 people greeted him. Our Channel 5 reporter Jason Davis was on the boat which spotted him first. Davis and cameraman Bill Juntman, the only American news crew there.
Off the English coast. His wife Sally raced to meet him in the Falmouth pilot boat, anxious to see her husband who'd been alone at sea for nearly 2 months.
Is that the color, Sally? Look, get ahead. Get ahead.
Oh, right ahead.
Get ahead.
Little blue?
Yes!
There it is.
Ahoy, the Yankee girl!
I can see his head. I can see his head. There he is.
Oh, he's got a beard!
I'll give you another one later.
Come on. Could you give her a hug and turn your faces?
Gerald Spiess had confounded the experts. In a 10-foot boat, he'd successfully navigated across one of the roughest oceans in the world.
They asked me what I'd say. You've got a beard.
Yeah.
You swore he wouldn't have.
Well, I didn't think you would. I'll bet he doesn't have it after it gets cleaned up.
Gerry had made it safe and sound, but he said at one point he felt like giving up. He was washed overboard during a 4-day storm off the Azores.
I thought about going to the Azores. I came up to handle the sails, and with this boat, if a wave comes from behind, it'll lift the stern up, and it'll just throw you right in.
Spiess left Virginia Beach on June the 1st. He says he averaged 60 miles a day, expected to complete the journey in 60 days and made it in 54. Jason Davis, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Falmouth, England.
Once again, Channel 5's Davis and Juntman, the only American local news crew on hand there today. It was quite an accomplishment. During a news conference this afternoon in England, Spiess noted he hoisted a pint of local bitter, of course, the local English beer. This afternoon, he toasted the thousands who met him. Governor Al Quie calls Spiess the second Lindbergh from Minnesota, referring, of course, to Charles Lindbergh, who flew the Atlantic in 1927.
That was the one he took to South America, and when we didn't complete it, we gave him the money for the motor.
What are you going to say to him?
Oh, come on now.
Starboard! Over there to starboard. That is it. Did you get his sail up? That is it.
Can you see him?
Yeah.
Why did you have the sails down, Gerry? Were you sleeping?
Oh, no, I haven't slept since night before last. But when, and I was in a hurry to get in.
You were motoring, were you?
Yes. Yeah. Watch this motor now.
Don't forget to turn the microphone off after we've gone.
Okay. Good motor.